Just the four of us, said Jack as they seated themselves. They managed to order themselves some grisly hamburgers and 3 bottles of the excellent O.B., which they consumed with gusto. They ordered a second round of beer. Carla lit a pine tree from the candle on the table, Jack lit his own Pow Pow Gold, and then Sharon's slim American cigarette. Sharon relaxed back into the cushions and took a lazy drag, her silver and turquoise rings flashing dully in the dim overhead lamplight.
What do you think that Patsy meant when she said the Korean police decided to drop the case?
She asked.
Sounds to me like they just figured they were barking up the wrong tree and that it was too late to bother with going after the thief,
said Carla.
From what I heard, they just used the whole affair as an excuse to pry into the teacher's business.
I kind of got the same impression from Nelson, at least about the excuse. He used the same word as she did, migook.
What does it mean?
Wondered Carla. The way Nelson used it, I thought it meant foreigner. Jack took a swig of beer.
But that's us. If the cops figured it was a migook thing, they think it was an American, according to Patsy,
said Carla.
So did they stop investigating because it was a migook thing, or because it wasn't a migook thing?
Asked Sharon, frustrated.
Well, it seems that they acted like they suspected an American for a while there anyway,
said Carla.
Oh, Lord, y'all, you don't think it really could have been a teacher, do you?
Sharon asked with dismay. Oh, I don't know, said Jack. I thought your Eleanor was a likely candidate with those ghostly eyes.
Oh, yeah? Your roommate isn't exactly Prince Charming either. And talk about opportunity. Didn't you say that was the apartment above yours?
Sharon retorted. Jack laughed. Ho, 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 ho.
Well, at least we got one useful handout from Benny today,
Carla said. The others eyed her quizzically as she pulled out a pamphlet and laid it on the table. How to Survive in Korea. The three met again at the same table shortly after 10 o'clock that night. They toasted Sir Alfred and got down to comparing notes about the classes they'd observed. It seemed that none had seen anything like an actual class, as it was the last day of the session. Students had wandered in, collected their final exams, and wandered out again after perhaps asking a few questions and having them explained. Pointy-faced Patsy O'Hare had passed the time with Carla by vehemently deploring the insurance that the school offered.
Take my advice,
She said in conclusion.
If you plan on staying, get some real insurance.
Eleanor Cross had seemed blankly disinterested in the fact Quick was Carla's roommate.
Oh yeah, Mary's roommate. Soon you told me that.
She had a melodious southern accent of the type that Carla had thought gone with the wind. Carla asked her where she and Soon Yu had gone dancing on Saturday night. Eleanor was riffling through some papers and seemed not to hear. Carla said she thought she'd go up to the teacher's room and have a cup of coffee and a smoke. Eleanor seemed not to have heard. Carla left the room hesitantly and did not go back. There didn't seem much point. Likewise with Sam's class. Although Sam was livelier than Eleanor, they'd engaged in some small talk about their lives. Sam was a New Yorker. He'd been in Korea for over a year and elsewhere in Asia before that. When he'd passed back the last exam, Carla managed to slip in a question about the teachers that she and the others were replacing. Was it true they had all left because of the murder? One way or another, yeah. Like Beverly's roommate Allison was in the States on vacation and just decided not to come back when she heard. And Nelson had a roommate who'd just gotten here, and when the police started coming around, he just said, fuck it, and took the next flight out. Can't blame him. Carla asked.
Did they hassle you too? I mean, I heard they were really gung-ho for a while there.
They hassled everyone, he'd replied curtly. Sharon's classes had gone much the same. She'd gone first to Nelson Presser's room. Nelson had decently suggested that she go relax in the teacher's room, as there was nothing to observe, so she had. She had next gone to Mary Quick's classroom, where there was a little party going on with sodas and chips and 6 or 7 students obviously trying to think of how to politely take their leave. Sharon had enjoyed talking to the Korean students, but had been quite offended by Quick's introduction of her to them.
This is Sharon Bangs. She's from Texas. She looks like she's from Texas. I was so dang mad,
said Sharon. Jack and Carla eyed Sharon's suede vest, the cowgirl blouse, and the string tie. Jack covered a smile with his hand.
Well, hell, I ain't saying I don't.
Sharon said.
I'm proud to be a Texan. But it was the way she said it, snooty-like.
Despite that she hadn't taken to Quick, Sharon, knowing that she'd discovered the body of her friend, could not be so insensitive as to ask her about the murder. On admitting this, there was some discussion between Sharon and Carla on why or why not Carla, as Quick's roommate, should feel more free to interrogate her. At any rate, Sharon had felt no such constraint in the next hour. In Patsy's last class, Patsy had delivered herself of her tirade on the insurance situation as she had earlier with Carla, and then Sharon had piped right up.
By the way, how was that woman killed?
Patsy had drawn a forefinger across her own throat, at which point Sharon had been too shocked to ask any more.
Makes it sound more like a robbery, though, doesn't it?
Said Carla.
I mean, if there's some kind of tradition with Korean thieves to kill anyone in the house, like everyone says, seems like a nice traditional way to do it, eh? Can't say it makes me feel any more secure.
Her mind flashed momentarily on the cover of the book she'd shoved under her mattress. She lit another pine tree. Jack rolled his beer bottle between the palms of his hands.
Make it sound like more of a mystery to me.
He proceeded to tell them about his evening. He had first observed Mary Quick's first class, which had been much the same as the one observed by Sharon. Quick had been quite chummy with him and insisted on involving him
in some inane game,
as he put it. Next, he'd happily concurred with the older woman, Marty, that he miss her class on going by to double-check that this was indeed her wish. He had put the question of the murder before her, phrasing it thus.
The new girls are a little worried about that murder. Do you happen to know how she was killed?
Jack waved down the womanist protest of Sharon and Carla, and said that Marty had seemed to soften somewhat, and had said that Beverly had been stabbed to death, and that quite voluntarily she had added that a balcony window had been forced, and that the front door had apparently been unlocked when Quick and Lester and 2 of their students had gone up to check on Beverly.
So where's the mystery?
Said Sharon.
It looks even more like a burglary to me. Semantics,
said Carla. She felt rather unreasonably annoyed with Jack, despite that she noted